G.I. Joe, the action-adventure movie you've been waiting for.
Hey, why didn't you just yell, "Look out"?
Oh, didn't you read my green sheet? I'm a man of action.
G.I. Joe, a real American hero. G.I. Joe is
G.I. Joe, the most exciting adventure ever. Watch it.
Welcome to a brand new 2015 numero uno edition of the Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. This is the ushering in 2015 with a bang.
First of a new era.
A new era, a whole new. We've placed the bar very high this year with what we're going to be talking about. Very, very intellectual, very highbrow.
Yeah, we're
very convoluted.
Taking it out of the gutter.
Yeah, we're gonna prop it up. We're gonna have a lot of stuff. We're gonna have a lot of philosophy. We're mixing
the Criterion collection of podcasts.
Yes, this is gonna be this is the year where we just take podcasting to a whole different level, and we figured we'd usher in 2015 and bringing the quality and the intellectual quality of our podcasting to a different level for Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers with a oh, by the way, I'm Dion Baya. I'm joined with Jay Blake.
Happy to be here as always.
And you are listening to Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers, as we said. We decided to usher in the new year with a movie near and dear to our hearts, my heart, your heart.
I think it's much closer to being near and dear to your heart than my heart.
It is,
though I do have fond memories.
Yeah, it's one of these way down the alley, much like last month's Ernest Saves Christmas. We are talking about 1986's Transformers the movie, and I think people would have thought when we say we're going to do Transformers, you think we do the Michael Bay, Shia LaBeouf, Mark Wahlberg movies, and we said no, 9999 for those Germans out there. We were going to take it way back,
way down the alley,
and do a movie, I guess, but I think it is certainly clutch for a lot of people of our age because of the era. I mean, we both are certainly cartoon fans.
Yeah.
This was certainly, I think, a climax or a turning point for animation at the time because it brought it into a different level. This got a theatrical release.
It was taking a daily, weekday afternoon popular cartoon show, which was a commercial for toys.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we'll get into that too, and
bringing it to the big screen.
And not only doing that, they brought some heavy hitters with them. Voice talent as well.
Yeah, I mean, not that really mattered.
No, it
to
didn't.
us,
but it was at the
maybe it made like my dad dragging my dad to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, I certainly knew who I think the majority of the people were. I mean, we'll get into who everybody was, but. It did that. It had a theatrical release, so it's like, oh crap, I got to go see it in the movies. And then it had this whole other controversy behind it, which was pretty funny. And it just goes to show, like, who is really heading the head of these marketing companies and these companies who don't really think about who they're marketing their products to.
Yeah.
As Jay Blake has alluded to, it's weird. I love Transformers. I guess growing up, and we've alluded to this on our many podcasts that you and I have done on the sidecasts on podwits.com.
Yeah.
Everyone out there who have not heard those, we have a whole slew of them. You should go check them out at podwits.com. We do a sidecast about various topics. We've talked about toys, and my parents growing up, which you say is genius. I think
it's a brilliant move on their part, though I can see how it would be disappointing for you.
They limited me to 2 franchises to collect from. So they said, it wasn't my parents, it was my mom.
Yeah.
And my dad would buy me stuff, and my mom would actually take it back. So I picked Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And so I missed out on Mask, He-Man, Star Wars, any other Inhumanoids, I don't know, anything else you can think of. But I mean, once in a while I get something else. Say they weren't horrible, but I couldn't just start
breaking in front of you.
Although my dad did buy me a He-Man one time, and she returned it, and I was so pissed. I told you this that I saw an episode of Dukes of Hazzard the night before where the redhead kid from Terminator 2 in Different Strokes was in it, and he was a mute on the show because of some traumatic event. So I tried not talking for like an hour. It only lasted about a half hour. I didn't answer her question. She's like, fine, you're not going to eat that. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. So, but I mean, I collected Matchbox and stuff. But anyway, long story short, too late. These were the two big heavy hitters for me, the Hasbro, G.I. Joe, and Transformers.
You know, I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts about revolving around this movie. One, I would say that this is my third viewing of the movie.
Ever.
Wow. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I watched it with you when we were in college.
Wow. And then you just watched it with me for this.
And then we just watched it on a late Saturday night.
With our Mega Joke Cola and our chocolate bars and our Jiffy Pop.
And
did we watch it together?
We watched it
like freshman year?
Freshman year, yeah.
Wow.
In our
recollection of that.
Small dorm room.
Which is funny because at the time it was out of print, and I had a bootleg of it. But I guess eBay wasn't really around then. But around that era, right before it was re-released on DVD in like 2000, 2001, people were paying like hundreds of dollars at conventions or on eBay or online for this thing because they only had a VHS release, and then a lot of the VHS stores just sold off, or the VHS release broke, and then so you couldn't find it at the time.
But growing up, yes, I mean, I watched all those cartoon shows. G.I. Joe was really kind of nowadays I think of G.I. Joe as really being like my fucking thing. Like that's the thing I remember. But at the time, I don't think I favored G.I. Joe over Transformers, or I certainly watched them both. But like, I can't remember anything about the cartoon show now. Yeah. It's like I blocked everything out.
About both of them?
G.I. Joe, I do remember.
Transformers.
Like specific episodes. Yeah. I mean, I watched Mask and stuff, and I guess I don't really necessarily remember specific things about the Mask cartoon show or whatever. But I think it's really interesting for me that, like, for some reason, I do remember G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't remember anything about Transformers. I remember the toys that I had, but I don't remember, like, anything about the actual show itself.
You can't remember, like, plot arcs and stuff.
No, like character names, other than, like, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. And,
well, it's interesting.
A handful of the main characters.
So, coming back to this for the third time, did you any memories on when it came out in '86? Did you see it in the theater?
I did. I remember my dad took me.
Oh, you bastard.
We went through this period where, my parents were separated or divorced or whatever, and there was like this period where my dad would like pick me up after school and take me to a movie. So like a weeknight. And 86, I don't know, first grade? I don't
No, second.
And so I do remember he took us, it was just me and him.
Yeah.
And we went to see it. I kind of remember like where we sat.
Yeah.
Like my vantage point of the screen, but other than that, I don't really remember too much. I remember Optimus Prime dying.
Yeah, that was huge. I remember the big hoopla that it's coming out. I remember that at the time in '86, I had thinking like they're making a movie, and I immediately thought it was going to be like a live action movie.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, we had no preconceived notions of, CGI. So I'm thinking of it I remember having the image in my head of like Starscream, and like just seeing a jet flying. Like, oh, they're gonna have like maybe guys in cardboard or sort of like that kind of thing. And then, oh no, it's stupid. It's an animation. So I remember my dad taking me to see it, but then instead he said, listen, we can either go see it or we can go have a day at the local amusement centers. They had arcade games. I said, let's go to the arcade game place. So we spent the afternoon there, and I probably just like spent $100 worth of quarters. And I remember we're leaving, and my father commenting, we're getting in the car to this day. I remember he's like, it probably would have been cheaper for me to take you to see the Transformers movie. And I was like, yeah, and then I saw it when it came out on video, which is weird because I always remember the obscenity being in it, which was deleted for the VHS version. But then my father watched it with me numerous times. So it wasn't like he didn't want to see it. I think it was just like, hey, what would you rather do today?
Yeah.
It was one of those enticing things. It might have been even one of those things like, tell your mother we went and saw this. Like he did that with, we were going to go see Short Circuit 2. But then when we got to the movie theater, he's like, we're actually going to see the Deadpool, the last 30 area. But don't tell your mother. So to this day, she still thinks that we went and saw Short Circuit 2 instead of we saw Clint Eastwood's Deadpool. So, yeah, I didn't see it until VHS, but I wore that VHS out, because it was so iconic. And then such crazy shit happened in it. I mean, the basic story of the movie is it takes place 20 years. The year's 2005. Takes place 20 years after the show, in the 85, and it's basically the never-ending battle between the Autobots and Decepticons, and this new threat comes in, which is this planet-like transformer called Unicron, and he threatens like the whole galaxy. He's just devouring planets one thing at a time. And
it's very similar to like Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer in that way. Isn't it?
It's weird how a lot of it. Well, it mirrors everything. I mean, full disclosure, I love this fucking movie. I mean, I know it has so many problems, but I mean, this is like Shakespeare to me. This movie, and then getting back to the plot. So Decepticons try to intercept the Transformers. There's a big battle at the beginning. All season 1 and 2, basically season 1's Transformers that you grew up with on the TV show get killed off. Yeah. By the end of Act 1, you have almost a whole new generation of toys of characters that you met at the beginning of the movie, and then they're on the run for half the movie in various adventures. They end up on 2 different planets. They end up getting back together at the end, and they have this big climactic battle where the Autobots and Decepticons kind of pseudo-ly, if that's a word, have to come together to fight this overall villain, the bad guy coming into town, and they ultimately they defeat him, and they're able to save the day, and then they leave it open for sequels. And this movie came out to bridge between season 2 and season 3 of the show. And it's interesting that season 1 came out, they started the development on the movie by the end of season 1. When season 2 came out, they were already animating the movie, so you didn't get any of season 2's characters in the movie. You get they didn't really play a big role. Maybe they're just here or there in the background, but you don't see hardly any of season 2's new additions, because basically Jay Blake alluded to earlier, it's a movie just to sell. The Transformers were designed by an advertising agency for Hasbro. They were developed to sell toys, and I guess related to Japan. And they had the pick of the litter. They picked, I guess maybe that there was some sort of earlier thing going on in Japan with Transformers, and they were able to pick what they wanted. They developed this hugely successful franchise here, and at a certain point they wanted to just stop making the original line and introduce a new line. So they figured, let's just make this movie and use this movie to kill everybody off, so they can just introduce a whole new line.
Which is like a crazy move. I mean, I think in hindsight, we all remember the death of Optimus Prime. But while you're watching it, it's like there is so much death. In this,
it's so,
and it's like tossed this. It's just like it's like, and it's like insignificant in a way. It's just like they're getting thrown out the airlock. They're
but that's what makes it so
it's
great.
like there's like no drama to it. It's just like, I guess because they're robots. It's just like it's just I found it really interesting this time around to just notice like how like throwaway like all these characters were.
But they weren't. See, they were treated that way, but they really weren't in the hearts of all these children.
I know,
who
but
grew
like
up with
Optimus Prime's is like the only one that had like got some kind of like dramatic moment out of it.
Everybody else was
Everybody
just
else
throwaways.
was just like Autobots and Decepticons.
Well, I mean, I would argue Megatron and then Starscream kind of Megatron got a rebirth. It's ironic that it's a good lesson in marketing that they just think that they can just kill everybody off. Kids will be fine with that, and they're just going to be substituted with new role. There's going to be toys assuming the same roles, where almost all the kids identified. Yeah. They become such icons where they were forced that there was such an uproar they had to bring back Optimus Prime. They eventually brought back Megatron, transcended into Galvatron, but I guess the 4 of them, Megatron, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee for these new movies, and like Starscream, those people, they're so iconic. They just didn't think of the ramifications of just blowing these characters away. Yeah. So right from the beginning, like on the TV show, no one ever got killed.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe I think there was an episode where 1 or 2 got killed, but usually they got hurt. They got pretty fucked up.
The whole thing with like G.I. Joe was that like
everyone
the
parachuted
worst aim ever, and then if like they were in a vehicle, if they're in a plane, parachute.
You see a parachute. Dude. I see a parachute. Okay, no one would go in for the kill. But in this, when the movie hit, they were getting killed left and right, and it was quite startling for the child who hadn't seen that before in the world of Transformers. So it made it that more brutal. And I absolutely adore the first act of this movie up until Megatron is given his new body of Galvatron, and
it's an odd structure because basically like the climax of the movie happens within the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it
is just establishing all these new characters.
It's like you said, like setting up the next season of the TV show. But like the huge climax is that like that, it's not like opening, but it's pretty much like the opening battle.
Yeah.
And that's where we lose Optimus Prime. That's where we lose a lot of these characters. That's where the word shit gets thrown out.
Yeah, right in the middle of, when they're trying to get away. And I'm sure a lot of people know this lore now, is that they put shit in deliberately because if it was rated G-rated movies only run for a certain time of the day. And they were trying to aim this semi to college kids. So they wanted to get a little swear in, shit or damn it, which Robert Stack ends up saying later, so that it would be PG and it can be played, PG can be played all hours of the day, so they can be played in the evening as well. So that they threw that in, and that also horrified parents, so much so that...
I was going to talk to you, like, I mean, okay, so now there's, like, we see that there was, like, a reason for it, but, like, I just wonder, like, how much discussion... They had to have talked about it for like hours and days, like this to say, like, should he say it?
I think
like, who's going to say it?
I think it was
like,
the era.
When's it going to say it?
I think it was.
I mean, because I could see like in a regular movie, but this is an animated movie based on a weekday afternoon cartoon show.
Yeah, and they say, I mean, it's not the F word. They say shit. They say
but,
damn. I mean, I was even surprised they say
circa
damn.
Like 1986, that was shit was not. Now we throw that. You could see that on
TV,
on almost maybe not like the 4 major networks, but on any cable channel, they'll throw shit out there. But
a nice little
back
piece
then
of ass.
it was
it was rather scandalous. But at the same time, I think the era was kind of different, where it was a little more relaxed. Where we joke about this all the time. You'd have a PG-rated movie like Excalibur or the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but there's breasts everywhere in it.
Well, I get movies, but my question is taking an audience from a television, from a cartoon. It's essentially a long episode of the show.
Yeah.
So that's why I find it kind of shocking. Like, you're right, like kids movies circa like the 70s and then rolling into the 80s especially, a lot of kids movies were fucked up.
Yeah. Secret of Nim. You have a lot of stuff going on.
Like there's a lot of shit that we shouldn't have been watching back then.
But it's interesting, this kind of set a bar because at the time all you really had were a lot of the Disney re-releases. You had Care Bears, the movie, which actually ended up doing better at the box office
which
than this
I
movie.
also feel like I saw that
in the theater. That's
I didn't know anything about it. I didn't watch the Care Bears. I didn't have any Care Bears, but I think like my aunt wanted something to do for like take me and my cousins to go do something.
I feel like that was huge when it came out in 85,
we went to go
86.
see that.
I saw that in the theater, and that was another messed up story, which could maybe be another future podcast here.
You never know.
But it had such a distinction at the time, and I feel like even though it was left to the same animation team to do it, I do want to put on the table that I personally thought, from reviewing, I have season 1 of the show Transformers, and the art is god awful. I mean, a lot of it is frames are painted wrong or stuff. A lot of
you
mess
always
ups.
know if there's like a rock on the side of a mountain and there's going to be an avalanche. You can always tell like what rocks on the avalanche
which is going to move
are going to be the ones that
or even
move.
like a miss shot, like the guy's arms a different color. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of just shitty, like, wow, I can't believe they outsourced it this bad. And I think it's probably the same goes for G.I. Joe. The show. Now when you get to this movie, I think the animation is superb. At least the detailing, like some of the close-ups, like that iconic close-up of which was on the cartoon. In the commercial where you have Megatron like, "It's over, Prime." It's like, where you see the cracks, and certainly Optimus dying, or at the beginning the little montage of the boy Daniel on the hoverboard into hot rods, and you see like the grass blades coming up. It's very Japanese, very detailed.
I would say that like circa 86. I would agree that the animation is impressive. I mean, it's a very Japanese looking.
Yeah, of course.
Especially all the space stuff. And,
Once you get it, once out of Act 1, when you get off of Earth, that's all very...
But it was really... A lot of it is really beautiful. What I found shocking was how poor, like, the sound design is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's very sparse in terms of, like, sound effects, and a lot of, like, the action takes place just with, like, over song.
Yeah.
Without any real, quote unquote production sound. And the whole, I mean, that climax of the movie that we were talking about in terms of like that first 20 minutes of the movie just almost plays like music video after music video.
Yeah, it's the popular song of the time. I've just taken out of my bag to reveal to Jay the out of print Transformers soundtrack I have. And that bad boy I had to buy on eBay. Just to say I own it. But it's interesting, the soundtrack at the time, they recorded... I mean, getting back to first the theme song to Transformers itself, that's even a marketing... You know, that's even... You have to chalk that up to the brilliance of marketers, an advertising agency. You know, Transformers more than meets the eye, Autobots in disguise, machines in disguise. Yeah. It's brilliant. So that's cool on its own. Then you have the band at the time, Lion, who was popular at the time. They did the sound. They did the theme of the movie, which was like awesome, like dun dun dun, and it was very topical. That the whole soundtrack is very 80s. So it's not out of place at all.
And there's a lot of. Oh, I see. And I think there's probably even stuff that didn't even make it.
Yeah.
To the soundtrack, because there's a lot of music in that movie.
You have Weird Al Yankovic in it. You have the guy Stan Bush. It's interesting to note, which I didn't know, that You Got the Touch was originally written for Cobra, the Stallone movie, and I don't know if it was not used or whatever, but it was laying around. They said, "Hey, let's use it for this," and he did 2 songs. Stan Bush in it. I think he did "Fight to Believe," and then he did "You Got the Touch" as well. Like I said, you have the "Dare to Be Stupid," the Weird Al Yankovic song in it.
The other Stan Bush song is called "Dare."
Yeah, "Dare,"
not to be mistaken with "Dare to Be Stupid" by Weird Al Yankovic.
So the soundtrack plays a very heavy role, and I think that amps up the gravitas of it being a theatrical film.
Yeah,
you have very very hair metal rock in it, and you're like, this is fucking awesome.
But with like the absence of like practical sound, it almost is like, I don't know. I almost feel like it kind of dumbs down
what's happening.
Like what's happening, but like just like the production values.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about like animation, like the cheapest aspect of it is doing the sound, you know? But especially for an animated movie, it's so important. So that was like the biggest kind of surprise and disappointment when I was watching it, was just like how awful, like, not the music soundtrack, but like the soundtrack of like the world of the movie. Even when they pull out the Matrix from, you know, Optimus Prime, it's all like silent.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really weird. It was brought to my attention that the only stereo aspect of the movie is there is a scene at the very beginning when the Decepticons first raid Autobot City, and Hot Rod is trying to warn everybody what's happening, and there's a Decepticon that can turn from a tank to a plane. And he turns into the tank, and Hot Rod jumps onto his turret and swings the turret around, and that isn't actually stereo. You can hear him swing on the turret. Aside from that, everything else, I guess, might be mono. And it's really weird. And the only other thing that I completely agree with you, the only other thing I can think that's really cool sounding in a movie, aside from the epic Megatron Optimus Prime battle, is at the end, the transformation of Unicron. I think that sounded really cool. Like when the shit's turning up and all that very slow transformation.
I mean, when you watch a lot of the anime, the Japanese animated stuff, especially from that time, the audio is usually is also lacking in terms of
well, it's hard because it's like a second language as well. We're watching it dubbed.
Yeah, but that's what I always kind of attributed to, was that like we're watching like an English version of it. So, I know like the DVD I used to have, or probably still do have, of like the film Ninja Scroll, which
it's
I
another one
like
for this podcast.
If you watch it with in Japanese with English subtitles, Like, the soundtrack is way richer
Yeah.
than when you watch it dubbed in English.
I think I've only seen the dub version. That's a movie you've introduced me to.
Yeah, well, I used to have it on VHS, and it was the English dub
that's probably what I've seen
But
it.
now, and then eventually I got it.
Did you ever see the TV show? I know that kind of it begot a TV show, and I don't know how.
I don't know if I ever watched the TV show.
I think that's definitely something we should maybe do on this
We
cast.
should. That was like that. I discovered that around a little bit past kind of the era of stuff we have been talking about in terms of how old we were when we watched them. But that was definitely a movie that I watched with my friends and stuff. It kind of fits for me in Sleepover.
And it's weird because that has
Classic.
Les Claypool, the lead singer of Primus, had something to do with like the American, the English adaptation of that. I don't know if he did that for that movie in particular, or if it was he was maybe adapting anime movies for like I think he had something to do with the English translation of having American dialogue or English dialogue, which is really odd.
I did not know that.
I remember seeing that in the credits. Yeah,
For another show.
So, getting back to the logistics of this, I never knew this until doing research for this cast, that I have the 2006 edition. They re-released it right before to make money so that when the first Michael Bay movie was coming out.
Yeah.
So they gave a nice, sweet 2-discer, all kinds of special features, bells and whistles. They even give you like a teaser trailer to the first movie, which I think just ends up being that one where they're on the moon,
yeah.
that really cool teaser from the first
Like the Mars rover.
yeah, the Mars rover. Sorry, Mars.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that's on there. Disc 1 has the widescreen version. Disc 2 has the full screen version. So for all these years, I've been like, no, I'm going to put the freaking widescreen version is because we've been taught widescreen is the way to go.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is they animated it 4:3, and they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
did what our parents always thought that we preached against. They actually just put bars in to make it widescreen, to make it have it look epic. So actually, you should watch the 4:3 version because you're begaining the bottom and top, which I didn't know. So that's kind of like I know this movie almost by heart, and it's like, oh, we should have watched it that version.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a similar thing with Mask of the Phantasm.
There very well might be.
Because my DVD is 4:3, and I only got that somewhat recently, like really on the cheap, because I got into a thing where I was watching Batman the Animated Series, and I had never seen Mask of the Phantasm.
Seriously,
up until like last year or 2 years ago.
I saw that in the theater.
And but then
did you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
But then in researching it, there was a lot of talk of like they were making it as a TV movie. So originally they were animating it for 4:3, and then all of a sudden, I guess with the success of the Batman movies, the Tim Burton movies and stuff, they got the call from Warner Brothers, like, you know what, we're going to release this shit in the theater. So then they had to go back and kind of reanimate the backgrounds and stuff to try to fit a widescreen format for the theatrical.
Yeah, I find it kind of like a cheap shot where all these years I worked at a video store. I had to explain to like laymen what a letterbox was because I certainly thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we went to film school. We've been programmed for letterbox. Now we're in a world that is 16:9. It is letterbox world, so we've kind of won the battle. But you have this where they're sneaking it under under the radar. And it's like, oh, what the hell? So let's see. I guess before we move on, we should talk about the voice talent that's in this movie.
Okay, yeah. Before we get to like the main stars of the voice talent, like the ones that are specific to the movie, like just watching the movie, it was like just like all the regular characters before we get to.
Well, we have Frank Welker.
I know but it was like listening to the voices of my child.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Whether it's Transformers or G.I. Joe, like these guys, these people.
They were the session players at the time.
They did voices for everything.
I mean, you have, first of all, Frank Welker is a force to be reckoned with. Frank Welker is probably, aside from Mel Blanc, he is the king of voiceover work. He got his start in the late 60s. He was the voice, and still to this day, he might hold a record of Fred Jones on Scooby-Doo, and that is his original voice. It's a little more innocent because of the time, so, it's a little more like, let's split up. Scooby, you go this way, but that's how Frank Welker sounds.
He might even do, like, on that newer show that you kind of got me into watching, He might even do Scooby-Doo
He does.
on that.
He's taken over Scooby because the actor who played Scooby died in the late 70s. So he's been doing Scooby for how many years? He's also he has his list goes pages and pages long. He's he's Megatron. He's Soundwave. He's a half a dozen other miscellaneous voices on Transformers alone. He is, if we're getting into theatrical films, he is the Scream of Spock in Star Trek 3. He is the voice work of Stripe and Gremlins. He is, anytime you hear a grunt growl, that is freaking Frank Welker. Interesting, he took over for Lorenzo Music. When Lorenzo Music, the voice of Garfield, died, he's now the voice of Garfield. But he does everything. So Frank Welker, I'm leaving out a whole bunch. And it's interesting there because if you look at Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon show, he did the voice of Bill Murray's character on the TV show. And then when Garfield got made into a theatrical movie, Bill Murray went and did the voice of Garfield, which he does now. But he does everybody. So that's Frank Welker right there. Go look Frank Welker up. Peter Cullen, who they actually used, he's the voice of Optimus Prime. They used him in the live action movies, which is I think the only person they brought in, which I thought was a huge disappointment until like the second movie they brought Frank Welker in to do Soundwave and stuff. But they brought Hugo Weaving, is that his name, to do Megatron?
Oh yeah, maybe.
And I thought that was the guy from the Matrix movies and the Lord of the Rings. I thought that was a complete waste of time. They should have kept everybody original if you're going to keep one guy original. He's also was Eeyore on Winnie the Pooh. He's a half a dozen other guys. He has when I was little, I thought it was John Wayne voicing Optimus Prime. My dad's like, no, John Wayne's dead. I'm like, no, he's not. He's voicing Optimus Prime. But it's like that kind of voice. And then you have another guy, Chris Latta, who has passed away in the mid-'90s from AIDS. He was a stand-up comedian in New York, and he did a lot of miscellaneous work in film, but he's the voice of Starscream and Cobra Commander. So he's that very raspy. And also, I was told recently he's the voice of the Crypt Keeper, which I don't know if that is substantiated or not, but that tail thunder crap, that kind of, those voices are so iconic. I can understand replacing him for the live action Michael Bay movies because he passed away, but why the hell replace Frank Welker? It's like doing Scooby-Doo and replacing Scooby's voice or something, or Garfield. So, like you said, there's so many miscellaneous characters. Scatman Crothers, they brought him in because he was doing jazz on the TV show because he was doing a lot of voice work at the time. This was his last film. He passed away before the movie was finished.
The curse of Transformers.
Who would have known? And then you have just a lot of other. You have John Massilia. He's the guy he was Blur.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
him
like
for
the
Micro Machines
guy. Yeah.
He was the fastest talking person, coherently in the world, and he's Blur. We have, of course, Orson Welles playing Unicron. Amazing, his last role. I think. His last ADR or a voiceover session, 5 days later he dropped out of a heart attack. So and there is huge speculation, which we could put to rest for years, that Leonard Nimoy, who's also in the movie playing the voice of Galvatron, supposedly Orson didn't finish his voiceover work. So it's been rumored for all these years that that Leonard Nimoy did a couple lines, and that is wrong. Orson did finish all his voiceover work. Another girl in it who plays RC, Susan Blue, who's in a ton of 80s playing a little boy or girl or anything, female actress. She plays RC in the movie. She confirmed that at one of these bot cons, they have these Transformer Comic Cons for just Transformers. She confirmed that no, Orson did finish his shit. So I said Leonard Nimoy's in it. We have Robert Stack, who for our parents' generations, Elliot Ness and the Untouchables. Yeah. For us, he's freaking Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah. So it becomes really real ominous, where it's like, if you've seen who killed Optimus Prime, please call 1-800-5353. And it goes on. Scatman Crothers.
Also, he's the Thing, right? Howard Hawks isn't Robert Stack the?
No, that's what's his face? Gunsmoke. Peter Graves' brother. You're putting me on the spot. I can't think. Peter Graves' brother is a real tall guy. We'll have one of our assistants look at it. And also topical at the time, you had Judd Nelson rounds out the Brat Pack. He's in there. And you have a cameo by Casey Kasem at the very beginning, which is funny because he's the voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. He plays Cliff Jumper right at the beginning. He does the countdown of when the rocket's taken off for the Autobots to go down to Earth. So, and you also have a little cameo by Eric Idle. He's in there too in the second act of the movie on the Junk Planet, on Junkion.
Oh yeah, Eric Idle.
Yeah.
Monty Python fame.
Yeah, and it's really funny at the time. He's one of these Transformers on a junk planet, and then, which is funny because he also spews junk when he talks about the advertising that he just says, and he says commercials. So it's like, not only does he live on a junk planet, he spews junk because of advertising and all this other kind of thing he does.
James Ames.
James Amos. James
Arnaz.
James Arness. Yes, James Arness. There you are. James Arness.
There you go.
Yeah. How can
Having
you forget
trouble
James Arness?
Reading the writing.
Yeah, and ditto.
Dude, the RN looked like an M.
Yeah, James Arness, exactly. He just passed away a couple years ago, James Arness. He was the thing from another world. So we have a huge, awesome voiceover cast. I love how they brought the gravitas of Robert Stack in there as Ultra Magnus.
Yeah.
As Orson. I think you can't cast Orson Welles any better than as a big
I would say Leonard
planet.
Nimoy delivers. Judd Nelson, not so much.
No, which is weird. It seemed like it was like just a paycheck for him.
Yeah, it was like, just, Judd, read this line.
Yeah.
And then read the next line.
And give us one for safety. That's it. You're out, you know?
It wasn't like he was reacting to anything specific, whereas Nimoy, I thought, he brought it.
Yeah, well, the story I heard with him is he came in and the first thing he said, "Do you have a bathroom?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he goes into the bathroom and he did like vocal warm-ups in the bathroom for like 15 minutes and came out and like just plotted it out. And it seems like he's channeling like a very raging Spock. He's
all
really
that pent up
emotion that he's
all
been
that pent up.
He's been
what's it called?
He's been trying to hold down because he's half human.
Yeah. He's in the middle of the Ponfar for that.
No. It's interesting. Orson Welles in it. At the time, people were very scared to work with him, voiceover people and producers, because
you can hear like really funny clips like on YouTube and stuff.
There's that notorious of him just berating like a engineer and some producer about what is proper pronunciations, and that tape had got around, so people were very scared to work with him.
What I don't think people realize, because now it's like we look back at Orson Welles' career and we think of like Citizen Kane as being like the best movie ever made and all this stuff, but like Citizen Kane like ruined his career.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
So it wasn't like he was like a big deal when we think of like his prime. I mean, he was kind of like the golden child, and then
his prime was probably like when he did War of the Worlds, the radio show in the Mercury Theater.
Yeah, but
and then he kind of peaked at what you're saying, it's Citizen Kane.
And then
they blacklisted him.
And then because of like political stuff and things with like the just stuff that's not worth going into for Transformers.
He kind of his career kind of went downhill.
But like that movie ruined his fucking career.
Yeah, I mean, he has a whole, I'd say at least a half a dozen other great films that people could argue is better than Citizen Kane. I don't know. That's not for this podcast, but he has some really awesome other films. But by the time you get into the 60s and 70s, he's doing like low budget. He's still making movies, but he's doing like the John Cassavetes, where he's doing his own shit. So by the 80s, he's still around, but he's like showing up doing weird things, and like it's not like, I'm not saying he wants a paycheck, but it's just like he's not really in demand. So he comes in and does this, and in his later years, I don't think it's a secret that he was rather large. He was a large man, like
alcoholic.
I mean, all kinds. So it's like him playing a planet. It's freaking cool, And I can't tell you how I think that the character is so awesome of Unicron, just the whole idea, and I love the prologue of the movie. When you see this planet come out of nowhere and just devour this one planet, like and it sets the tone for the movie. Everybody gets destroyed. This one shuttle's about to get away and gets sucked back in from the gravity, and you see it get rejuvenated. I loved it. It's interesting. They say the lore. They came up with the idea of Unicron because originally there was going to be, his name was going to be Ingester, and there was going to be another planet called Primus, and Primus eventually turned into Cybertron. And the idea was that Cybertron, to take care of Cybertron, that begot the Transformers to keep the maintenance up and the upkeep. And eventually they had to be aware that freaking maybe Unicron's in the area could come back and try to fuck some shit up. So eventually, I guess there was stories, and I'm not too into the Transformers history and like genre as I should be for this. So I know a lot of other people may know a lot more on this subject than I do, that you do.
Yeah.
But I guess they toyed with the idea of Cybertron actually being able to transform, and then that was like the battle, the Unicron versus Cybertron. So they were kind of related that way in a like brothers kind of a thing. So I just think it's such a coul idea, and it's such a cool. You know what? They were trying to think of an idea to elevate a story so that it wouldn't just be like you said, like a long episode. And they're like, well, let's, and that's always seems to be how the story is. The first thing is, hey, let's bring everybody together, the bad guys and the good guys, to fight a common foe. And this is it. The bad guy in the block that comes in, fucks your wife, steals the, the pay, takes your car out for a ride, pushing people around, and people got to come together.
Yeah. I don't know. As a whole, it was okay. Being how like I said, the big climax of the movie is like so close to the beginning. I think by today's standards, it drags a bit after that until we get to the end of it. Until we get to it.
Act 2 certainly does kind of, for me, drags. I'm sure
there's some dragging. I mean, I feel like, there's a lot of, we talked about the music, but the actual like score of the movie is real hit or miss for me. Like some of it I think is like awful.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff that's like very like Blade Runner-esque.
Yeah.
That I think is amazing. Like every once in a while you'll get like a cue in there of score that is so awesome.
And it kind of like fits up right with the action on screen. So it's like adding to the tension or something like,
And then there'll be like just throwaway, seeming, I don't think it is, but like seeming almost like library, soundtrack music filler stuff that just like kind of doesn't work all that great. But then you'll get like just a little gem, like a little pearl of like awesome score happening.
It's interesting by the end of Act 1, which is, I keep restating, that is my favorite of the whole movie, that you lose almost the entire line of your season 1. All the Transformers, you especially Autobots, you lose everybody. And I guess in the original script, they had an original script called the, let's see, where is the name? I had it written down somewhere around here. I think it's called like the Secret of Cybertron. Was the original script. It was going to be a lot more gruesomer. I mean, they really actually held back with the brutality that they were really going to inflict the children for this movie. Like there was going to be like a Charge of the Light Brigade where all the Autobots were going to go through just a whole throng of Decepticons, and everyone was going to get killed off, and they were just going to kill everybody off one at a time. So everyone that you held near and dear to your heart was just going to be annihilated. And again, doing research into this for this podcast, it was kind of explained to me the reason why for the TV show no one ever gets hurt, but in this movie everyone's just dropping like flies. And I guess it's not really explained properly, but Autobot City, where they are, it's on an ocean or on a river. It's supposed to be like a powerhouse where they make the energon, and they're using the water like the hydroelectric power to make your energon. Okay. And the moon, or one of the Cybertron's moons that they're on, that's like where they're making weapons or whatever. So Megatron,
you're talking about like there's like two moon bases?
Moon bases, and then the Autobots are on one, and are they on Cybertron? I think they're on the moon bases, and
like it opens with like Optimus is on one of the moon bases.
And then the other one, like Jazz, is on the other one.
Yeah,
with Spike.
With Spike,
the father of Daniel. So they're going down to like recharge at Autobot City, and Megatron's, idea is if he's able to get the Autobot City, which makes the power, he can essentially just, get all the power he wants there, and then he can go after whatever. So that's his reasoning behind attacking Autobot City. So the speculation is that...
Who explained this to you? Because it's not in the movie.
No, it's not in the movie at all. No, this is from reading on fans and all this, and about script ideas. So the speculation is that they are low on energon, because we know that their life revolves around from TV shows energy.
So they're weakened.
They're weakened, so that's why they're able to just get taken out.
They're only running on like one bar.
We have, at the beginning of the movie, Megatron intercepts what's going on, that they're sending a shuttle down to Earth. So Megatron's like, he hijacks the shuttle, and he gets in.
That shit,
and it is brutal. The opening sequence of that, everybody gets laid out. And it's like frightening for kids. Kids are wetting their pants. At the end of the sequence, you have Ironhide, who at the time was like also Peter Cullen, who was Optimus Prime's right-hand man. He's still alive, and Megatron lays out the exposition like, you're an idiot, Starscream. We're gonna do this, and blah 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 blah. And then Ironhide's still alive, and he grabs Megatron's leg. He's like, no! And it pans up, and Megatron's like, such heroic nonsense. Blows him away.
Yeah, just you see like the barrel of his giant like bazooka arm gun.
Yeah, and he just blows him away, and the scene cuts. Now, my jaw dropped, and like I had to go to a doctor to put it back up when I saw that. I heard from speculation online that parents right then were taking their kids out of the theater. Like, this is way too violent for my kid to be seeing. Kids didn't know what to make of it because, oh my God, things are dying. So we get to the big epic battle. I love the Optimus Prime Megatron battle. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. Every line out of it's like freaking, you can use it in other movies, like one shall stand, one shall fall. Why do you throw your life away so recklessly? Like that, I'll rip out your optics. Like everything I think is awesome until even the end. End of the battle, they're both just fight each other to a pulp. It's almost like Shakespeare, the two kings going at it. And then you have Optimus dying. And the Optimus dying scene, I think, just took kids by surprise. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the house.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable for children at the time. And it was so much so that I think there was even speculation that some kid locked himself in a room for 2 weeks, didn't want to eat because Optimus Prime died. Like, it was like crazy shit was going on.
Yeah.
So there was such a backlash for Hasbro that Hasbro was so scared that they'd alienated their marketer, their market, which are the children, that they put in a pipeline to try to rejuvenate or bring back Optimus, which is funny because in season 3 they end up bringing him back as a zombie, and he gets killed again by the end of the episode. And it's one of the best episodes I think of all time. I like it. I remember it growing up because it was so freaky, and a lot of the fans regard it as a very good episode. But also, it changed the destiny of G.I. Joe the movie, because at the time G.I. Joe the movie also by Hasbro came out, went into production first, but for some reason Transformers hit the market and got a theatrical release before. With Optimus dying, it changed the destiny of Duke, because they were going to kill Duke off, and this was going to be another thing with G.I. Joe. They wanted to usher in a whole bunch of new different toys for G.I. Joe. So because of the backlash, when they have already animated, I think they were like in a rough cut stage for G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, Duke gets a spear through the chest, very bloody if you remember, and he was supposed to die then, but then they're like, oh, he's fallen into a coma. Like they're able to determine right then. Then at the end of the movie, they just have like somebody on a hand radio like, Duke's woken up, everything's okay. So that even changed the destiny of that thing. And that
I don't recall G.I. Joe getting a theatrical release.
I was going to say, it did not get a theatrical release. It went straight to video, and then it aired as a 5-parter with Sergeant Slaughter doing the intros and outros.
Well, it definitely,
on
when I watched it,
show.
and I think at some point we will probably end up doing it, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I do remember watching it like as a TV movie in one chunk.
Okay, because I remember,
and then I think it probably then later got split up into a 5-parter.
Yeah, with Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh yeah, like opening it
doing
up.
it. Yeah, he's doing the raps. Look here, you. The writer of this movie, Transformers the movie, Ron Friedman, did a lot of Fantasy Island. He did The Fall Guy. He did a lot of 70s Starsky and Hutch. He was friends with Stan Lee, and Stan Lee got him into doing, cartoons, and he pitched the 5-part of The Rise of Cobra, which became the 5-part miniseries pilot for G.I. Joe. He got that done, and then he went in and he wrote this. And there's a lot of talk about different writers coming in and working on the script, and that's why there's a lot of plot holes in this freaking movie, Transformers the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of work to do on both the series. So it's interesting that by the time then you have G.I. Joe the movie coming out, it doesn't get a theatrical release. It's played down a little bit more, and they have to turn things around because of such a backlash where the writer, this guy, Mr. Friedman, didn't want to kill Optimus Prime, and he tried to talk to Hasbro, but the middleman, which was this advertising agency, never talked. Hasbro was like, no, we have a great idea. We're going to, and it's interesting.
They take an awesome, take Hot Rod, who's an awesome fucking Transformer, one that I had as a kid.
Yeah.
After this, the really cool fucking car.
They turned him into a camper van.
And then making a really fucking cheesy, just another truck camper van thing. It was, so they took an awesome toy, and then they made for the movie, and then for the season 3, they ended up making him a really cheesy fucking.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, they had him. Did you notice that he kind of aged when he gets to the Matrix at the end? He kind of looks different. He looks older, a little more reserved, a little more. He's not the kid anymore. It's quite weird. It's interesting that Prime is pushing the Matrix, which is this device through the movie, which is the writer says he got the idea with the popes because evidently every time a pope dies, he touches the next pope. And this has been going on since the beginning, and it'll go on forever. So the idea of giving the Matrix away, it's this succession of lines of people. Optimus is pushing on the only guy in the room who can the Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus Robert Stack's like, I don't want this. I'm not worthy.
I'm a soldier.
I can't do this. And it's interesting that once he gets it, he makes like every wrong decision in it. He keeps making these bad decisions that get him in all this trouble. Or his line is like, I can't deal with that right now until he's destroyed. And that's another thing that they cut up because at the time it was deemed too violent, is his death, where I guess all the once Megatron is transformed into Galvatron and all the other guys that Unicron turns into these new Transformers, they go to the planet to get the Matrix. They strapped like whips to him and they pull him apart and rip him apart. So,
which we should say for the people that haven't seen it, like Megatron and these other, like Ultron transforms them. Unicron, I'm sorry.
Voltron.
Not Voltron, but Unicron, he's the one that transforms them into new things. Megatron into Galvatron. You're
going to laugh and roll your eyes at me, but that scene, that's the sequence, since we're talking about it, from when you have Starscream just throwing them out. Like we're like the one Decepticon's
like, I gotta shed some weight.
Yeah, because I can't. Yeah, so they basically just throw out all the crippled people who were wounded, and it's so great because it's so evil and conniving. I love that sequence, but I think one of the best cinematic, I'm putting it out there, one of the best cinematic scenes in history is the scene between Megatron and Unicron. I just love that it's like the evil, it's like selling your soul to the devil. It's like, this evil, like Hitler going to the devil, a god, and like, he's selling his soul, I will do your bidding, and just the dialogue between the two of them. But you're right, they're drifting in space, left for dead, and Unicron Unicron, of course, I think has already planned this out. He finds him and he's like, hey, look, I'll give you a whole new body and a whole new people to command if you do, you go get the only thing that can hurt me, which we find out later. He puts a hit out on it, and Megatron reluctantly agrees. And then he gives him a whole new body and all that, and turns into Leonard Nimoy from Frank Welker.
Frank Welker was back.
Yeah, well, he ended up doing when the season 3 came out. Frank Welker got the role back. He started doing Galvatron. Yeah. So then, Unicron says, "Go get the Matrix and bring it back to me." So of course, he tracks him down to the junk planet, and they confront Ultra Magnus. And back to what we were saying is they supposedly ripped him apart. Now, if you listen to the audio, how it was recorded, it sounds like Robert Stack's like he's getting ripped apart. And then, unlike all the other guys who just die, and Ultra Magnus literally falls to pieces. So I think they must have just re-edited him getting shot, and then because then the Junkians are able to put him back together, Eric Idle characters, which is a huge plot hole, which I guess is reminiscent for us of the new Star Trek movie. It's like, if these Junkians can put Ultra Magnus back together, why can't they go to Earth and just put Optimus Prime and all these other guys back together? Because this was the thing with the blood of what's his name in the new Darkness. What is it? Into Darkness.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you can bring back Kirk, why don't you bring Pike back and everybody? So where am I? I'm going off on tangents here. So I love that scene. And so then it kind of falters, like you said, in the middle of Act 2, and then it kind of ends suddenly. Then you have the Galvatron gets the Matrix, and he says, fuck you, Unicron. I'm gonna now I've got the power, and he goes back and tries to confront him, as you do. And Unicron's like, no, now you're asking to throw down. I'm gonna take the shit out and throw the shit at you. And he turns into this huge freaking robot, this slow, beautiful transformation, and then attacks Cybertron. And this is the final battle where the Autobots and Decepticons kind of come together and end up defeating Unicron in this big battle where Hot Rod is able to take the Matrix, open it up, and it just makes Unicron tear himself apart trying to get at it. And then that ends up, he ends up blowing up, and then his head ends up floating in space, which becomes a huge part of Season 3 for the movie. Whew. Yeah. So, okay for you, huh?
It was okay. I think it drags. Like, I wish it was better.
Yeah.
I wish it was better done. And like I said, it's not so much to talk about like the animation. That doesn't actually bother me.
You think just like script hole, plot holes?
I think
and
the
just...
script is not great. Like I said, the actual audio track was really bugged the shit out of me this time around for some reason. I don't know. It was okay though. At the end of the day, it was a walk down memory lane. So I can't complain too much about it. Not my favorite, but certainly not off. Not my least favorite thing ever.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we've left anything out here. I like the quintessons, which is like in Act 2, when Hot Rod and the other guy Cup go to that planet, and you have this multi-faced robot.
Oh, yeah.
They end up in season 3. They end up being the backstory of they end up being the people supposedly in the lore that built the Transformers in season 3. You learn that, but I don't think that was really established that canon for the movie. And it's interesting. I wonder if that irony is lost on a 7 or 8 year old, what they're doing, where they're just systematically murdering. They round up these robots or whatever, and they're just guilty or innocent. And they're like innocent, and they're just killing them. It's kind of frightening. And I like how they I guess we're knocking the script so much. I like how they do bring back the sole survivor of the epilogue of Unicron, where he kills that planet. There's one guy that survived. Now he's locked up, and he's the first one to get killed. It's kind of like sad. He's the last of this race, and these freaking quintessons are just like knocking him. So I like that sequence. That was cool. The connotations there. I think it's cool. Also, an honorable mention that they said that Eric Idle's character, Rekgar, in the comic book, in the movie he just spews junk, like I was saying. He just says, just like his planet, he's saying just radio transmissions and infomercials. In the comic book, he just says Mighty Python lines, which is kind of funny because Eric Idle voices him. It's an interesting movie. Certainly not great. It holds a place in my heart. I think it is very epic. It's kind of like a Shakespearean tragedy, kind of. It's like that classical archetype story where two different families or two different realms are battling, and very much you see like in a Game of Thrones or any kind of archetype kind of a thing. And there's some clutch scenes, and like I said, I love the battle between Optimus and Megatron. That's awesome. And then that one scene for me when Megatron.
And in a way, I mean, being the first cast of 2015. It was. I feel like there was a little bit of. It was a nice transition into the new year, because it was like, in a way, I kind of felt like Christmas just happened.
It's light.
We opened up our Transformers.
And now we're playing with them. This is the battle.
Like this. Like that's when we would have gotten our toys. And now we're playing with our Transformers. After the new year.
It's interesting to note as well for people like me who were such fans of the movie that I knew it line for line and owned it in '97 or '6 when Boogie Nights came out. That suddenly, when that character, I forget his name in the movie, Mark Wahlberg's character, is trying to have a recording career. He's singing "You Got the Touch," and it's that song. And they talked to the guy who scored the movie on, I think in 2000 they came out with it finally on DVD where they restored the oh shit in the movie. And I think the only special feature was just like talking to this guy who scored the movie with the synthesizer. He's like, this is what I did. And they asked him about that, and he's like, I don't know who signed off on that. I don't know how it came, but yeah, it fit in there. So I wonder if it was because I read now that it was written for Cobra, that maybe people had rights to it, or it wasn't just written for Transformers, the movie, the Stan Bush song. But it's just really funny for it to just show up and you're like, what? He's singing You Got the Touch, because it's very apropos for the Transformers movie, because You Got the Touch, Matrix, and all that kind of a thing. It's really interesting. It really makes us then want to do G.I. Joe, because I think G.I. Joe is good in other reasons, other reflects, but isn't in other, it's still, it's another movie that has an impressive cast of voiceover actors. Half of them are here because they're the seasoned character actors, but then they have a lot of their own celebrities in it. So it's something we should do in the almost like a double feature very soon.
Yeah, I would love to. One, I haven't seen it in a really long time. Probably even more so than even longer than this movie since we watched this one in college.
Well, do you want it to be our next one? Do you want to do?
We'll see.
Should we pause this and watch it right now, or we'll give it some?
We still got a couple hours before daylight.
All right, so
maybe we should watch.
And then we could do that for our next. It's like a two-parter. All
right.
Okay.
We're on the fly. We're making this part one.
We're calling an audible. This is part one of our introductory
Hasbro Marvel
consumer cast. So we'll stop down, and in 2 weeks you'll have part two of this. Where we're going to do G.I. Joe the movie, and it's almost like a companion piece. That it was good that we did this first because it unbeknownst to this movie, affected how G.I. Joe turned out. And we'll see how G.I. Joe, and we'll see if you like it better because your heart is clearly with the G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
so we'll see if it's a letdown for you, or I'll tell you, not to give spoilers away, but I think G.I. Joe the movie has some really fucking cool ideas that still haven't been explored in a narrative.
Very weird.
Yeah,
I remember that movie.
It's very weird. Very. It's got a lot of cool things. So I guess we'll leave it with that. Rating, I guess, out of Mega Joke Colas for you?
We usually do, out of 5.
Yeah.
For me, I'd go 2.5.
Wow, that's more than you gave Ernest. Ernest, you gave him 2. I would do probably 3.5. Saturday Night Movie Sleepover Stars.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening again. Go check out Transformers the movie. It's readily available now anywhere you want. In this posting, I'll include this awesome interview to a link to the writer Rod Freeman, who wrote the movie, and the other guy who was the producer for both G.I. Joe and Transformers, Flint Dill. I'll include 2 links to those nice interviews with them talking about this and then G.I. Joe and Transformers in general. A shout out, I guess, to the director. His name was Nelson Shin, Japanese gentleman who did the movie, who didn't really know anybody. It's pretty funny if you watch the special features of the 2007 edition of them interviewing him. He didn't really know. He's like, I don't know. It was a movie.
Well, even when you watch I want to say recent, but now it's been several years with the run of the DC straight to video animated movies and the Marvel ones. There's always seems to be there's a director, and then there's the director of the voice talent.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's uncommon that the director of one of these animated movies, he's just there to piece together kind of the technical aspects of it, I would assume.
The aesthetics, not
and then you have somebody else who's really dealing with the voice talent and getting the performances.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really surprise me. It's all a really interesting process. It's a shame, so much of it is done with computers now and not so much, hand drawn and whatnot. Yeah. But, it's, if you haven't seen it, if you've never seen it and you're a fan of Transformers, definitely, I would say you should see this.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it for a really long time, I would say that it's worth checking out again, but don't get your hopes too high for it.
Yeah.
Be prepared that it's dated, that it's flawed, and just kind of enjoy it for what it is. And for nostalgic reasons, instead of really looking for some awesome movie that's gonna knock your socks off.
Yeah.
But definitely worthwhile.
I guess I feel a little jaded, but I like it better than all 4 Michael Bay movies.
Yeah. I don't even think I finished watching it. I don't even think I got to 3 or 4.
I got to the third one. The third one's better than the second.
The one with the moon. Dark of the Moon. Which one's Dark of the Moon?
Maybe.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
I didn't see this latest Mark Wahlberg one, but I just think they just dropped the ball even on that first one, because all they do is just, not to get into these movies, but all they do is just really make you aware of Optimus and Bumblebee, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just a throwaway. You can't tell what's going on. You can't tell who's who. Everybody doesn't look like what they used to look like.
Yeah.
The whole genius behind this Transformers is they were all primary colors. You could distinguish who was who. They transformed a certain way, just like the toy did, aside from maybe Megatron or Galvatron or a handful, but they basically looked exactly like how they would be as a toy. And in these Michael Bay movies, he, with the exception of Peter Cullen, He recasts all their voices. I think in the second one, it's like racism with the two, blackface minstrel robots.
Yeah,
and it's just silly. And I don't know. It's like, why do you go and reinvent? You have 50 years. It's like you're renting a property, from a company, and you're just going to do what you want with it. Why not just, why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, it's a crazy it's a crazy thing. I mean, like I said, I don't remember too much of the cartoon show. I mean, I don't know how much the story of it would really translate to a feature-length, quote-unquote, live-action movie trying to appeal to more people than just our generation. I don't know. But it does seem kind of, not well thought out to be so, not faithful.
It seems like
a beloved franchise.
It seems like it got itself wrapped around, hey, look, we can do these CGI and make it look like it's practical, and that's it. Like the stories are kind of loose, but it's just like, humans running around from cities that you've never heard of that don't look like real cities. Aside from, I guess they end up putting them in Chicago, but it's just, and the big thing is you can't tell who's who. Aside from the yellow Bumblebee, who doesn't talk, and the red and blue Optimus, I can't tell who the hell anybody else is.
Yeah.
I saw the second one on 70 millimeter, and they shot it on 35, but I think they shot the action sequences on 70 millimeter. And Jesus, all it was just machinery. I couldn't tell you what the fuck was going on.
Machine pouring.
I'm just looking at it like, whoa, there's this big red here. There's just things are transforming. I can't tell what's happening. But I just think you could have just did this movie, fixed the plot holes, made it live, and just made it, had like an ominous villain like, Orson Welles' Unicron, and had it just more deadly. There's so much more of a tone set in this movie at the beginning, the first act, of just anybody could die. Where in these later Michael Bay movies, they're just like, it's just eye candy. We don't care if the movie's going to be good or not because we know you're going to go see it. It's almost like that adage now where they'll put the middle finger up to the loyal fans because all they're looking to do is get new fans, and people can say they have that contention with Star Wars or Star Trek, and they did it with Transformers. I think G.I. Joes were executed better than the Transformers movies, the live action G.I. Joe movies. But I don't know. Anyway,
we'll talk about those next time.
Yeah, next time. Please, in the meantime, check us out at Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. That's SaturdaySleepovers.podwits.com. Check Jay Blake and I out at podwits.com. We have a sidecast we do. I'm at podwits.com with weekly podcasts. Jay, you have a new album out.
JBlakeBlues.com. You can get information in terms of live shows and where to get my album and stuff like that.
He plays music. Check us out here. We do it all the time. Write us, email us, follow us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on iTunes. We're online. Let us know. Write in. Let us know if you like what we're saying. You don't like what we're saying. If you have any comments on what we are saying. If you have any suggestions on what we should do in the future, let us know. Drop us a line. We're accessible at SaturdaySleepovers.podwits.com. We do parties too. You can rent us out. Hell, we'll do it for free. We'll come over and watch.
Watch a movie with you.
Your pick. I mean, most of the time we'll be all right with that. So okay. We're going to stop down and we're going to put the old VH tape in of G.I. Joe the movie. We just got to find the darn thing, and we'll start up with part 2 of
drop Transformers the movie into the rewinder.
Yeah. And don't let it rewind too long. It'll break. You got to let the thing pop up. And we'll talk to you in a couple minutes, which will be 2 weeks in your time. So see you soon.
Later.